All maintained schools should have an accessibility plan to show how they plan to meet the needs of children with special educational needs. True or false?
I think that's true.
Yeah.
The Disability Discrimination Act, they would surely need to prove that the building's accessible for anybody in a wheelchair or hearing impaired or visually impaired.
It's true, yeah. Schools have got to plan, that's why it's called a plan, they've got to plan for disability. It's called an accessibility plan. It's not just physical accessibility of the building. A lot of people tend to think that it's lifts and ramps and markings on the edge of steps and things. That's great, that's all part of it, and that's very important too. But perhaps even more important from your point of view as parents of deaf children is accessibility of the curriculum. And I think that's really important, especially if you've not got a statement for your child yet, that you still have rights even if your child hasn't got a statement. So every school now should be planning for the arrival of deaf children. Schools should have deaf awareness training. And that's the question that you can be asking them about. All schools have a duty to make reasonable adjustments for deaf children, as they do for all other disabilities as well. And a reasonable adjustment would be to get in the local teacher of the deaf, even if your child isn't statemented, and get them to give some deaf awareness training to all members of staff, to make sure that the room is set up so that it's as appropriate as it can be within the confines of a mainstream secondary school. There's no reason why they can't set up the timetable for your child so that they're in the better acoustic rooms, for example, even if they're not all acoustically treated. Staff need to be advised not to silhouette themselves against a window, and little things like that can make a big difference to lip readers. Don't cost anything, but they show an awareness. They've planned for the presence of your deaf child in the school. So accessibility planning is really very important, and in some ways, as I say, more important for people whose children aren't statemented.